Starting Sirin Shin Chaf Aleph, Shier 20. So this Sirin is a bunch of different halachas together. Every few sifin is a new halacha. So the first halacha is Chavila Kaya Eza Recordis, bundles of different types of grass. It says Pirish Min Esev, Chnisam La'etzim. If they, so these bundles, there's two usages of it. Either they were used for firewood, or they were used to feed the animals. So it depends what he had in mind when he brought them in. And this is a problem of muktzah. If he brings them in for firewood, then it's muktzah. If he gathered them into his house for Miche behema, then it's not muktzah. So echnisam la'etzim, if you gather them in for firewood, he can't use them at all because it's muktzah. But if you brought them in for Miche behema, so now already it's not muktzah anymore, so he's allowed to use them.
But cannot do the whole.
To gather it.
You cannot do it.
Yeah, so kaitim v'oichel b'yad, avaloi b'kli. So when you want to break it, you want to open them up, so kaitim v'oichel b'yad, you'll cut it or break it with your hand. Avaloi b'kli, you can't use a keli to cut it. And the reason why you can't use a keli to cut it is because it looks like you're being teichen it. It looks like you're grinding it, and that's also because it looks like the malacha of teichen.
So they don't live in a knife? You could use a knife to cut.
Can we use a knife to cut these things? These things are meant they brought it from the field, and it's meant to be ground up. And if you use a kli, it looks like you're being teichen. With your own fruit and vegetables, you could use a knife because it's not meant to be teichen. These things look like teichen, therefore it's awesome. Avaloi b'kli, you can't use a kli to cut it up. U'moilel b'roishi es ba'osav. And this we had already before in Shin Yud Test, I think it was. So that if you want to take out the beans from inside, or the chitim from inside, you let it be moilel b'roishi on the top of your fingers, and that was a shinui. And had there exactly 1 finger, 2 fingers in the hand, exactly how you could be moilel it, how you could moilel it, like roll it, press it against your fingers to take it out. Moilel b'roishi es ba'osav. Says the Baruch Avraham, if you gather it in stam, you didn't have in mind mefurish for anything, that is as if you are echnisam l'machal behema, because most people bring it in for machal behema and not for firewood. U'moilel mefarach hasharvitim lechel hazer shabatoichin mefarach you soften. The sharvitim is the shoots. The shoots, lechel hazer shabatoichin, to eat the seeds that are inside. So then you have to do b'shivah. You can do it only b'roish. But what's the havamina for us to do? I mean, if you're giving it to the behema, why even would you want to need to do that? I mean, no, you yourself. But even though it's behema, you throw it the way it is. Here we're talking about you yourself. Okay.
I thought it was maybe to prepare it for the
animals.
For the animals.
That would be the same malacha. I think here it's talking about you yourself want to eat.
That's what the verse says.
Yeah. Well, the Hamish just throw it in.
This is Gamke.
It's also Tzas Roy in the Michael. Okay. Sif Beis. So Sif Beis, Gimel Dal, the next few Sif are talking about salting, Meimei halach, and there's 2 halachas here. One halacha is making the salt water. And we'll see there's 2 different isurim over here. One isur, so machlokes in the Shonim, I mean what the isur is over here. So the way they used to do it is, used to make salt water, and used to be kovish kvoshim inside. Used to put vegetables inside to keep them for a long time. It was lav dafka to pickle them. That's the way they would keep stuff for a long time. Today we have refrigerators, but in those days they would salt things in order to keep it for a long time. And still later on, they used to salt meat to keep it for a while. They would salt it heavily, and that's the way it would stay, and it wouldn't get spoiled.
So how people look if you take a big bowl of salad and you salt it?
Okay, we'll get to it.
Oh, we get that.
So So you're not allowed to make made melech, you're not allowed to make salt water, because it looks like you're going to be kovish kvashim, you're going to put something in there to keep it for a while to be kovish kvashim. Now, in kovish kvashim itself, there's a machlokes in the Rishonim what the isser is. Is the isser because of ma'abed?
Yeah.
It looks like you're working it out. Ma'abed was a malacha when they used to you take the skin, the hide of the animals, they would work it out with salt and make it soft.
It's improved.
This way they could use it to write on it. And that's one isser. And another isser, which the Rambam brings down, is because it looks like bishul. Kavash kremavushul, you kavish something, you put it in salt water or in salt, it looks like kavish is kremavashul, it looks like you're being mavashul something on Shabbos. Both of these things are all isurei d'rabbanan. So most of the time we're going to go with over here with the Rashi. So Chabad does throw in once the Rambam svara of looks like bishul, but most of the Rishonim, most of the Achronim here go with ma'abed. It looks like you're working out the vegetables. So Sif Beis talks about making the salt water. Sif Gimel and on talks about the salting directly the vegetables. And Sif Beis are talking about preparing the salt water to be kovish kvashim. It looks like you're preparing it in order to put the vegetables inside to be kovish them. So ein oisin mei melech harbe b'yachad. You're now going to make a lot of salt water. Lo says to toicha kvashim v'shemadam ibud. To put it into the kvashim means to make kvashim out of it because it looks like ibud. Avayachal la says to mei ma'at. Lo says to toicha tavshel. So really the lashon of mechaber is little says to himself. He says in the beginning, you're now going to make a lot to put it to the kvashim. Now to put it to the kvashim, you're not going to do it anyway. To make kvashim, to put something in and let it sit for a while, anyway you can't do it. Because or atma'abed. Here we're talking about you're not doing that. All the halachas here we're talking about over here is you're not doing this ibud. You're not doing the ibud. You're not going to take the vegetables and soak them in the water. You're making the salt water for something else that is mutter. Still, you're not allowed to make it if it looks like you're making it for the kovish kvashim. So if the kovish kvashim is also, then you can't do it no matter what. Even if you're not being kovish kvashim, it looks like you're preparing it for kovish kvashim. It's also awesome, and that's what we're talking about over here. You're not allowed to make a lot of salt water, even though you don't have a mind to use it for kvashim. Even though you want to use it for something where there's no kvish on it, you want to use it to dip your potatoes into it. And potatoes, we'll see later on, has no din of kovish kvashim. Still, you're not going to make a lot of salt water.
What's a lot?
So we'll get to a lot in a second. What's the quantity? We'll get to that second. We'll get to that soon what it is. But this halacha here is, you're not going to make a lot of salt water with yachad. Now it's not dafka to put it to the kvashim. You can't make a lot of salt water even for your own usage. Without kvashim, just to dip into it. Even if you're not going to use it to keep something pickling in there,
the question
it's
is,
still awesome.
I can do let's say I have a big pot of potatoes and I need a lot of salt there.
If you need
but it's not a lot for
so we'll get to the math in a second. We'll get to what's called a lot in a little soon. But you're allowed to make a little bit to put it into your tafshil. That means you want to use it for your tafshilin, you're allowed to use a little bit. So here it's mashma that you're allowed to use a little bit techa tafshil, but a lot of techa tafshil is also. To make a lot of techa tafshil is also. The Tais for Shabbos, if you look in the Mishnah Brewer, brings it down. You look at in Sifka and Tess in the Mishnah Berurah. He brings down a cost of a Sefer Tosfos Shabbos. It's the second line over here. Yeah. The end of the second line. Sifka and Tess. Mishnah Berurah Sifka and Tess. The cost of a Sefer Tosfos Shabbos. Dafkim kavanasoi losois letoicha kvashim. Aval ein kavanasoi lezeh. Behind the Jadaita and the Chalkan Teicha Tavshilin, Afilu Harbe Mutter. Even a lot is Mutter. Where does the Eliezer Shabbos get this from? Because he learns the Mechaber starts off saying, you're not allowed to make a lot. Because the issue is only to put it into kvoshim, to pickle something with it. But doing it for anything else, it's fine. It says the next line,
put into his pot.
So the Tosfos Shabbos is going to learn the first lashon is dafka, and the second lashon is lav dafka. The derech for tafshil was to make ma'at. But the main thing is that you're doing it losses at tafshil. So he's not machalik if it's ma'at or harbe. Aval al yiraba oiser chem mashur ve'iri shekosav d'rak ma'at titiru. Only a little bit you're allowed to make when there's a nikir she'en oiser rak l'tzerich shah. Masha enkin ba'harbe yizberu she'oisim l'tzerich chol ayin sham. People are going to think you're making it to be kovish kvoshim, you're going to make it to pickling. The machlokes of Tosfos Shabbos and al-Yiraba is how you learn the mechaber. Which part of the mechaber is dafka? The first part or the second part? The Yiraba learns the Tosfos Shabbos learns the first part is dafka. You can't make it for kvoshim. You could make it for bishul. How much doesn't make a difference. And the Yiraba holds you can only make it a little bit for bishul. And the first part, the making a lot for kvoshim is lav dafka. Making a lot is also no matter what. A little bit is mutter little teichatavsh. Now, what's called a lot and a little? So a lot and a little is l'chayra. The person speak out anything you need for that tibul is called a little bit. That means if you have like I said before, if you have a lot you were making a huge salad and you're making salt water, whatever it is, to put into the salad, you can make a lot.
For the day.
To put into that, we'll get for the day in a second, for how long you're allowed to make it for. But you're allowed to make as much as you need for that tibul. As much melech as you need for that tibul. Now, if someone's going to make salt water, let's say, they want to dip it in potatoes, Lel Pesach is the famous shayla. He made melech, salt water, for dipping in the karpas.
You have to make it before Shabbos.
So we'll see if you have to make it before Shabbos, lav dafka.
Yeah.
But if you make ma'at, it's mutter. If you make harbe, it's also.
Yeah.
What's ma'at, what's harbe? So if you make enough to dip into it, it's enough. If you're making a big vat, a huge container, that could be harbe. You don't need that much.
So there's
Yeah.
always left over then.
Yeah, so dipping in is always left over, but you have to have enough that you can dip it into it. Because you make just a drop, it has to be enough that you can dip into it. There's always going to be leftovers because you're not pouring it onto it. If you can make just enough that the potato absorbs, you're not going to be able to dip into it. So therefore you're allowed to make, ma'at means as much as you need to dip the potato into it. If you want to make a 2-pound container, that may be also. If you want to make a small container, it's enough to dip into potatoes, that's mutter.
Even that 2 pound is mutar if you have 500 people you're going to.
If you need it, yeah. If you need it for a lot of people, you want to split it up, so a bunch of people can dip it separately and a harami. But to make a large amount, that you're not going to use it, besides the fact that all the time it gets thrown out as batashkas anyway. But it's still good to make a little bit, because you make a lot, it may be called harbe.
What if you make a large amount with the thought that a small amount is going to be used for dipping or whatever, but the rest is going to be used for medicinal purposes?
For?
Medicinal purposes.
You can't make that anyway in Shabbos.
Let's say it's for a child.
So then,
Also, you can't make a lot. So later on, in Shin Chav Ches, you make mei melach for gargling. That's the first you could do it. That's already a whole different child. And next time, if you're doing it for a few different things, you try to make separate ones. Because you make one big thing, you're not doing it for this tibul, you're doing it for a bunch of different tibulim. So that's the ma'at and harbe. Now, v'im nasan l'toicha, it says the mechaber vayter, v'im nasan l'toicha shnei shlishei melech, he put in 2/3 of salt, also lashes and melech filu ma'at. There it's also even to make a little bit. So Torah we had you allowed to make a small amount of mei melech, was when you're adding salt to the water, but it's not a thick mixture of salt and water. But if you do a thick mixture, 2/3 salt, which is very, very salty, that's also no matter what.
Because then it's like
That's it's
So you're
mamish like,
making a
then it's
melach.
mamish like you're making it the ibud.
You're making new salt.
Then it's mamish like you're making an ibud, and therefore it's awesome. And that's also, any way you do it is also. Now, the Magen Avram over here, the Magen Avram says, you're allowed to make ma'at. So we spoke about, you're allowed to make ma'at for a tibul, you want to dip in, you want to make it for a salad, it's fine. So the Magen Avram says ma'at, the one before that, gimel, mei melach, vodem b'chol ha'mashkim, dafka water. If you add salt to any mashke that you're going to use it for pickling, it's also. We happen not to use anything. What chaymitz, maybe it's negated to vinegar. To add salt to vinegar for pickling, also it's also. Anytime you're adding salt to any mashke, it's also. Ma'at, says the Magen Avram, tzerich tibul oisei suda. What's called ma'at? So Magen Avram, we spoke about ma'at means for one tibul. And the Magen Avram says it has to be for that suda.
But you cannot be exact.
Mashma tzerich suda acheres, afilu ma'at aser. If you're doing it for another suda, if I'm doing it in the morning, for a suda later on, afilu ma'at aser. Afilu nice and shemen aser, even though you put shemen, we'll see shemen's a heter. If you put oil first, it's always a heter because you can't use.
Now the question is,
if you add oil to it, you can't use it for ibud. So here it's also, even if you can add oil to it.
if I did it for this Seuda, but leftover, I have a leftover, and can I keep it for the next Seuda?
Yeah, if you did it for the suda left over, so you keep it. So, and he says, "V'chein mashma sivhei." Now this is a big machlokes here. In the ma'at, the amount of the ma'at, we said what it means. But ma'at could also mean I'm doing it now for a suda later on. Says the Magen Avram, I'm doing it a little bit now for a suda later on, it's also to do it. It was even the time that it's mutter to make mei melach, which is ma'at, that you can only do for that suda. But anytime you're doing it for later on, it's daimel ibud, it looks like you're doing it for kovish kvashim. Now, which is raya from? It's raya from Sif Hey. Now, we'll take a quick look at Sif Hey. And Sif Gimel Dal goes through that certain vegetables you're allowed to salt, certain you're not allowed to salt. Even the ones you're allowed to salt, says the Mechaber in Sif Hey, Asa l'mloyach basar mevushel, oibeya mevushelas la'nicha. You're not allowed to salt meat or eggs l'hanicha, to leave it. To leave it. Now these things, if it's not l'hanicha, you're doing it for right now, you're allowed to salt them. Now we'll see in Sif Gimel Dal why. But if you're doing it l'aniach, it's asa. Now what does l'anicha mean? What does it mean to leave it? Leave it for how long? So the Magen Avram says over there in Sif Katan Zayin, l'anicha, mashma l'anicha misuda l'suda asa. You're not allowed to leave it from one suda to the next suda. Avot tznoim, afilu l'tzerich oisei suda asa. Tznoim, which is something, radishes, which is asa to salt, even for right away, that's even for this suda. The things that are mutter to salt, for example, basar or bayim, eggs, which is mutter to salt, says the Mechaber, you're not allowed to salt it l'hanicha, to leave it. Now what does it mean l'hanicha? For how long? Says the Magen Avram, even from Suda to Suda, you're not allowed to leave it.
Wait, but somebody like radish salted.
We'll get to,
salted and put it in mouth?
we'll get to that soon. We'll get to that Gimel Dal. We'll get to that soon. But the ones that are mutter to salt, eggs that's mutter to salt, meat that's mutter to salt, you're not allowed to salt it l'anicha. The Magen Avram says l'anicha means misuda l'suda. Is also to do it. There's a lot of chalkim in the Magen Avram. If you look in the Mishnah Berurah on Sif Hey, look at Mishnah Sif Hey, Sif Katan Chaf Aleph. Mishnah Berurah Sif Katan Chaf Aleph. Also in Maloyach, says the Mishnah Berurah, the hot the material le'el, the be'er, the molcha, this that we said, you're allowed to salt an egg, hainu l'tzerich oisei seuda. That's for this suda itself. Aval amloyach habasar be'er, kedei la'aniach la'achar zman, domi le'ibud l'kfisha. V'hinei, says the Magen Avram, says the Mishnah Berurah, das the Magen Avram v'taz, tafilu daitoi lechel b'yoymoi, even though you can eat it that same day, imhu l'tzerich suda acheres, yesh lizar b'zeh. It's going to be a long time later. Avol says the Mishnah Berurah, el-liyu mitzadei the ein lesser rak ibedayte laniach la'achar Shabbos. So el-liyu says lanicha means when? La'achar Shabbos. If I'm solding it for this Shabbos, it's mutter. If I'm solding it for after Shabbos, that's a very daimel ibud, and then it's off. Same thing as mashma and b'yagro. So the Mishnah Berurah here really brings down a machlokes. What lahanicha and sifhei means?
So the Taz, would it make a difference if you have if you're talking about the winter, the summer in a place like we live?
As long as we're not for the upcoming Suda.
The upcoming Suda is, let's say the upcoming Suda is Shalosh Shudas.
So if you look,
lunch at
okay,
having Shalosh Shudas.
Okay, so if you look in the Magen Avraham that we just learned, the Magen Avraham says that the tzarich tibul oisis Suda is mutter. Mashma l'tzarich Suda acher zafil ma'at aser. Afil ma'ashem aser. Kanal v'chein mashma sifhei. The sifhei is mashma la'nicha means for the next Suda is aser. V'ayin simin shin yutes sif aleph. What is wrong with that? Shin yutes sif aleph is the halach by Baruch. The by Baruch for the next Suda is aser, for that Suda is mutter. What it means to say is whatever is aser over there is aser here.
Right.
And we know by Baruch that you're not allowed to do Baruch even for the upcoming Suda unless you're ready to eat.
Yeah.
So if you finish your Suda at 12 o'clock and 1 o'clock you want to do it for Shalosh Shudas, which is at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock, it's awesome. That's the next Suda and it's too far away.
But he says if the food is going to get bad, then you're allowed.
Yeah.
The way the Mishnah Berurah learns the Taz though, with that little bracket, he might not read that though.
Why?
Because the Taz is referring to only if it's a long.
What does a long time mean?
And that's what I'm asking.
That means it's gonna.
It means he's giving you room to say. Well, if you have a Suda Cheres that's happening very soon afterwards,
so you're not
might be mutter.
Then it might be mutter. Meaning by Baruch that's also.
By Baruch that might be also.
I'm not sure.
In this situation,
because what does it mean, Zman Rav? Zman Rav is you'll have time to prepare for it after the Suda. If you have no time to prepare for it after the Suda, after the first Suda, then maybe you'll not do it before the first Suda. That's not exactly what it means, but here, it could be, it's a little different than Baruch.
But a way around it would be to eat a little bit of it, with your regular Suda and save the rest for Shabbos.
Yeah, of course we can do that. If you don't need the whole thing for now, especially if it's called Harbe already.
Right.
But according to the
Rabbi,
you could actually prepare it on the Shabbos night for Suda Shlishit.
Yeah. According to the Rabbi, you want to make ma'at. A little bit for my melech. According to the Rabbi, we're talking about you salting eggs, let's say.
Right.
You're doing it Friday night for Shabbos by day, you can do it. According to the Magen Avraham, you can't. Says the Magen Avraham.
Isn't it evil? Because you're leaving it in overnight. You're leaving it in the egg.
No, but egg is mutter. Egg is not a problem.
Egg and meat are okay.
Egg is not a problem. Only it's nine is also. See,
right.
So now get it back to Magen Avraham. Magen Avraham says, "Mei melech ma'at." A little bit of salt water, you're allowed to make only for that Suda. But for the next Suda, you're not allowed to. Where did you get that from? Sifhei, he says. Because Sifhei, even the things that are mutter to do, is only mutter for Oisa Suda. For the next Suda, it's awesome. So he's saying the same thing over here. Mei melech is mutter to make. It's mutter to make for this Suda. For the next Suda, it's also to make. That's the Magen Avraham Mishnah Tasai. And the Mishnah Berurah argues on this. If you look in the Bir Halacha, this is very negeya for Leil Seder. When people make salt water, right, and they prepare it beforehand, earlier. So if you hold, now on Yom Tov they prepare it. If you hold, it has to be mamash with that Suda, like the Magen Avraham, you can't do that. You have to prepare it right when you're ready to dip into it. If you hold like the Cholkim, then you can prepare it to whatever you want on Yom Tov. As long as you're doing it for that Yom Tov, it's mutter.
Is this a Yom Tov shower or a Shabbos shower?
No, Shabbos and Yom Tov, both.
Why?
Mei melech is also even Yom Tov. No, Mei melech is also even Yom Tov,
Why?
If it's Ibud.
If it's cooked.
Bishul, yeah, but if it's for Ibud, if it's for Ibud, it's also. Ibud is not mutter for
No, but if it's cooking, if you learn like the Rambam.
So I have to check it out. If I'm not mistaken,
that was only on Shabbos.
It's only on Shabbos, on Yom
It's
Tov?
only Pesach falls out.
I have to check it out. It could be right. I thought the main melech was also. I have to check it out. I'm not sure.
We can read down in Mishnah Berurah that in the chelik of Hilchos Pesach.
Yeah.
I think it's only for Shabbos.
It's piece only when it falls out on Shabbos?
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay, could be. So when you have to, it's called Eichel Nafesh Atzmut.
Right.
Yeah.
So here it says, the Mishnah Berurah says over here, the Biur Halacha. Avayachal lasses men ma'at. I am a Mishnah Berurah. Meaning, Amogen Avram, Hevi Ra'il Advarov. So, before we see that, look at the Mishnah Berurah, Sif Karni Aleph. Hatafshul, a little behen. Peter, v'chei but lishbach al lichsei oif dag tzolim, ubein imhu oitza, v'tzoyrich su'uda zu, Saiv is making the memelech for this Suda, Oi l'tzoyrich acheres. Or he's doing it for a different Suda, but for Shabbos itself. I will also last us l'tzoyrich chol. I can't do it for chol. But for Shabbos itself, even though it's one Suda to the next, the Mishnah Berurah argues in the Magen Avram. And he says that it's mutter. If you look in the Shier Tzia, Yud, l-liyu Rabbi b'shem Haber Rishonim, because of Gam Dat Ran, who came, Udaloy ke Magen Avram, not like the Magen Avram. So the Mishnah Berurah is passing not like the Magen Avram. May Melech is mutter for that day, even though it's not for that Suda. And the Biur Halacha says, Avayachal Lashes Men Ma'at, I am Mishnah Berurah, V'hine Magen Avram, Hevi Ra'il Advarov, to the Suda Acheres Afil Ma'at Aser, V'sif Hei. He brings a raya from Sif Hei. To Aser Shom L'mleach Beyer, V'anicha L'tzoyrech Suda Acheres. V'adal L'shetase B'sif Cotton Zion. V'al Rabbi Hizgalav, V'ayim Shier Tzia, and the Rabbi argues on him, and therefore the Mishnah Berurah is passing not like the Magen Avram, he's passing like the Rabbi. Fine, so that's the halacha of Mei Melech. So kids Mei Melech, if it's thick, if it's 2/3, it's also like that. If it's less than that, it's mutter to make a little bit of tzerich tibul, whatever you need. According to Magen Avram, it's also to make it for the next Suda. According to the Mishnah Berurah and Ali Rabba, it's mutter to make it as long as you're doing it for that day. Fine, that's Mei Melech. Now Sif Gimel talks about salting without Mei Melech, salting it directly. So the Mechaber says, you're not going to salt pieces of radishes. The radishes in those days they used to make, they used to kavish it, they used to pickle it. So you're now going to salt dalad or hay b'yachad 4 or 5 pieces together. V'fnei shenira b'kavish kvashim b'kavish aser mishum shehu k'mevashel. So here the Mechaber throws in the Rambam's reason of mevashel. Now, the Chayim asks already on the Mechaber. Here he says mevashel, there he says ma'avid. Why does he bring down both reasons? I think the Pirmei says that the Mechaber goes l'chumra with both reasons. There's nafkaminis between each reason. And we go with both reasons, say ma'avid and say mevashel, and we'll see soon there's different chalukim, chumras for each reason. Ella, what do you do? Metabel kalachas levadei va'oichla. You dip in each piece by itself and you eat it. Aval beim mutter l'molcham. Eggs, it's mutter to salt them. Now if you look in the Magen Avram Hey, why are eggs mutter? Beim mutter l'molcham b'fnei she'ein derech lasas behem kvashim. You don't usually make kvashim out of it. You don't pickle eggs. So this will be a big heter today. For anything we don't pickle. The problem is today so many things are pickled already that we don't know anymore. Everything should be us. But eggs, nobody pickles eggs. I haven't heard yet of the pickled eggs.
Although there's some.
But historically, you can buy pickled eggs.
If you go to something, you'll get pickled eggs.
Pickled eggs?
Yeah, in the jar.
The whole egg in a jar and it's pickled.
Peeled and pickled.
Yeah.
For instance,
So we eat them. Is it tasty?
before they were used to keep the eggs in salt water.
But somebody buy it and sell it, right?
Strange things I don't buy. I don't buy strange.
Okay, so I'm not sure what goes into the gather of darkoi lichboish. There's Yechidim that do it.
Today everything can be
made commercially. It's not
yes, do everything.
It's made commercially. It's not
show the money as they're going to do it.
If it's done commercially, it's not called Yechidim? I don't know. I never heard of it before. But I guess maybe, yeah.
Is this not a gezerah on a gezerah?
Good question. And I think the answer is that you have to give the common answer. Kul Chad Gzeri. Looks like it. I looked around for that kasha. I didn't see any other truth. It's a good kasha. I don't have a tennis for it. So I'm not sure exactly what the gather is. Something that's not darker. It's ain't derech lassen ham kvoshim. Today, I mean, if some Zam brings ahead to that, tomatoes you're allowed to pickle, you're allowed to salt, because they don't pickle sliced tomatoes.
No, you don't know
right?
That.
Sliced tomatoes they don't pickle. And the truth is, the tomatoes that we eat,
Let's have a slice.
the tomatoes that we eat, they don't pickle either. They pickle the green tomatoes.
Yeah.
The tomatoes when they're ripe already,
Yeah,
it's not pickled.
cherry tomatoes are pickled.
Cherry tomatoes they pickle?
No. I saw it in the jar.
See, everything pickles. I don't.
Green ones they pickle.
Green ones. So it could be tomatoes. Some person give a head. If some Zam gives a head, if you slice it and you pickle it and you salt it, since sliced, it's never pickled, it's mutter. So that will be head to almost everything today.
Red pepper.
Because nothing is pickled, sliced. Today, what are we salting? We're basically salting sliced cucumbers or tomatoes or eggs, whatever it is, we're salting, or salads. These things you don't pickle it that way.
But still, I mean, it takes a long time to pickle. So even if you, I mean, that's the thing with them.
No, it's nearer. It's nearer.
When you put it in, I can hear it. That's okay.
Yes, nearer kamavet. Yeah. So that'll be a big heter for almost everything today. Shlomo Zalman's heter.
So what's the basic principle of at least the way today? Anything that is not pickled.
Anything that's not pickled is sure is mutter. Anything that's not pickled is a sure mutter.
But you can't find too many things today that aren't
The
pickled.
problem is that today they say almost everything. I mean, eggs they say it's pickled also. I mean, eggs we always know that if you slice an egg and you want to salt it, it's mutter.
But is there?
Because
but are we saying that are we lumping together pickling and salting now?
no, you're not allowed to salt something that usually pickle. You're not allowed to salt senoim, radishes, because radishes get pickled, and if you salt it, it's also Mexican ma'abed, Mexican mavashal. Not just the main melach, the salting in itself is Mexican ma'abed. So anything that you usually pickle, you can't salt. So always the heter was by eggs. Eggs don't pickle, so eggs, if you slice them, for sure you're allowed to salt them. But to say that pickled eggs, you have to come up to Shlomo Zalman's heter. Anything that's sliced, and you don't pickle it sliced, then it's mutter to salt it.
Anything that can be sliced, right? Is that the idea?
Not that can be sliced. When it's sliced, when it's sliced. Because in this matzah, it doesn't look like that you're going to pickle it, because you can't pickle it the way it is.
Would it make a difference if it's something that's done commercially and not done at home? And people don't pickle eggs at home?
No one pickles anything at home today.
Yeah, cucumbers you do.
Okay, you see them pickle cucumbers at home. But
so you can buy sliced pickled cucumbers like this.
Yeah. So that was the question. The question came to Shlomo Zalman with pickles sometimes. They kavish them even sliced. They pickle them even sliced. So there are people that are machmer, that are cucumbers and not allowed salt, even when it's sliced, because that's something we're kavish.
But you can one at a time, though.
Yeah, one at a time we'll get to. We'll get to the heter, but one at a time. We're solving a bunch together.
And if you make a difference between hot-tossed cucumbers and normal cucumbers, is that
I don't know. I saw one of the places we say is a chilik if it's peeled. A cucumber that's peeled, even though it's sliced, they're allowed to salt it because they don't pickle peeled cucumbers. Because how far you take the heter, how far you take the isser.
We're not talking.
Feel the right way.
We're not talking about a case where you're sitting at your table and you've got on your plate in front of you now.
We're talking about sitting at the table.
We're talking about were you making a lot because it's
we're talking about over here. We're talking about over here. You're sitting at the big table. And you slice a cucumber. And you have 4 or 5 slices in front of you, and you want to salt them. It's awesome. That's not lucky. Radishes, it's awesome. Radishes, slice it. It's on your plate. You're salting 4 or 5 at a time. To eat it right now, it's awesome. That's just a lot.
It says for immediate use you can do it.
No, not 4 or 5 at a time. 4 or 5 times you can't do it unless it's something that you're not usually kovish.
So that's a problem, because if you're making a salad, you're certainly going to put at least 4 or 5 cucumbers.
Yeah, so a salad's an issue. That's what people speak about salads, and I give Shlomo Zalman's heter. So you make a salad and you cut up cucumbers in little pieces, and peppers and stuff in little pieces, you're not kovish in that way. Even if you kovish slices of cucumbers, no one's kovish pieces of cucumbers.
So the oil. So like an Israeli salad,
like an Israeli salad.
But hold on, but the Nira Kokovish would be in a time where we used to do it. Everybody used it at home, and since today nobody does it at all at home. So why actually do you have the? So why do you have the?
I've seen that heter brought down someplace. I remember where years ago. I've seen such a heter. Today no one pickles anything in the house. So there's no way to bechlal. But it's, I don't know. I don't remember where I saw it. I learned it the first time I saw that heter. But most persons don't bring in that heter. Most persons don't bring in the heter. Today in the house we don't pickle anything. So it should be mutter. So says the Morgan Avram. Salt doesn't work for them. Kol kach. Chen kaseh b'tumas hadeshen, simen pei al hadagim b'yamtiv. Here you see that even Yamtiv does it. I'm not sure. Okay, have to check that out. If the salt doesn't help it, it's mutter. So any time that you usually not kovish it, it's mutter. So now, let's put this aside.
So how does Rosh Zalman get around that? I didn't.
So what?
You said that Rosh Zalman gives a heter.
For sliced tomatoes, you don't pickle sliced tomatoes, only whole tomatoes. That was his heter.
Only for tomatoes,
He gave us heter on tomatoes. You don't pickle sliced tomatoes. So they speak about how about sliced cucumbers. They do pickle it. So maybe that's also. His heter was anything that you're not kovish it in the way you have it in front of you now. It's not a problem. So if you cut up
so that's a big heter, because if you take any vegetable
and you slice it up, you slice it into little pieces, and then you're not kovish it that way.
Or basically also salad, because you don't usually cook salad.
Right. Shlomo's heter will be a big heter for today.
So even if you cut up snow or you cut up cucumbers and you put it into a salad, maybe you could say because you don't kovish a salad.
So let us speak about if you have a mixture of things that you are kovish and you're not kovish.
Right. So you do it.
Yeah.
So that's came back to the bowl of the salad. You salted bowl of the salad and it's all inside there.
Right, because you didn't kovish the salad anyway.
So we'll see. Let's think about salad. So we'll get to the top speaks about it.
So are there some people who wouldn't put radishes, specifically because they mentioned radishes, in a salad on Shabbos?
Some people put even whole cucumbers, slices of cucumbers in a salad and salt it. Unless you do it with shemen, you add oil first, and then you do the salt, and you're okay. Because once you add the oil, we'll see it's the heter. But then a lot of people won't salt radishes, they won't salt cucumbers on Shabbos because of this system.
I don't do.
So let's see the Taz here. Take out a part of the Taz, which is very important to see. If you look at the Taz, Sivkan Aleph, we're not going to go through the whole Taz, unless Adam has a couple of hours. So we look in the Taz, I'm not sure where it is in the new ones. In the old Shulchan Aruch, it's the widest lines.
Yeah.
The third line for Inyan V'zehu.
How far down will it be?
It's probably like halfway through the Taz. It's probably like halfway through the Taz. Maybe by you there's a dot. Vanil Lefin is dot to the Farsi Virashi. See that?
Yeah.
Vanil Lefin is dot to the Farsi Virashi. Yeah.
Is it the third line?
You see that?
Second line.
So that's a little bit.
Oh.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lines. 8 lines down. 8 lines down.
Vanil Lefin is dot to
Of the long lines?
Smack in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have it.
You have it? Vanil Lefin is dot to the Farsi Virashi.
You have a Rashi Shier Miche. And the right hand, you know. Yeah.
Here. Here it is. Ve'inyan B'zeh. The line under it. Ve'inyan B'zeh. See it? The line right under that. Ve'inyan B'zeh.
No, but that's not right now.
But Inyan Bezeh, the line right under that, when Nilfrin started the Rashi, he has a whole kasha series of Rashis. So we're not going to go through the whole thing. But then it says like this: Inyan Bezeh hu, the trei tenoi yesh be'itza melicha. There's two tenoim to asa this melicha bezeh. B'masha daimel le'ibud. That's daimel to ibud. Ha'echad mitam shu shoya harbe kedei sheyetze mirusoi acha sheyezia. You sold something and you let it sit for a while, that it should sweat, and it should cut, that it should be mazia. Kedarkoi debezeh afilu ki mitabel chada chada umeniach l'ktzach zman asa. If you do that, we're talking about snow now. We have to remember, we're not talking about things that are mutter to salt. This is all the things that are also to salt. So you salt it, you let it sit a little bit. Even one at a time is asr, because once it's mazia, once it sweats because of the salt, it's very dominable, it's asr. Shainis, another isser, hitam shemelech harbe biyachad, you're salting a bunch together, va'az afilu einoi shoyeh asr. Then, even though you're not leaving it, you're salting a bunch together and you're eating it right away, that's also awesome. In such a case, if you do one at a time, it's mutter. So he said there's two isurim here. One isur is even to salt one, to leave it. And one isur is you're salting a bunch even though you're eating it right away.
But now it's sliced everything, so there's a...
You can't salt them all. You salt one.
Slice now everything.
Still you cannot salt them.
Still you can't. The first he starts off with Zom and Rashi, he writes a Tam l'Isser b'Masha Kosev, Ein l'mloyach tznoim, v'shom loy nitzke heta tibul. The end of the Gemara doesn't mention any heta of tibul. I came to Rashi a Tam, b'vnei shu shoyer, because you're going to leave it. The Hainu k'shemolchen harbe chatichis mestama, oisin kein hochen l'tzorech achila, shoyechlo achakach. You're doing it for afterwards. Even one at a time is aser. Since it's going to let it sit there for a period of time. After that, the Gemara says it didn't salt it, but they were table it. Bein heter melicha l'tfila.
It's right there.
Oh, there.
Who said the Ma'ir Rishashu Eichel? Va'az mutter chada v'yesem v'chada aser. Then it's mutter one at a time, but more than one is already aser. So Taz puts it down very clearly. There's two isurim over here. One isur is to salt one, to leave it for even a period of time till it's mazia, and the other issue is even if you're eating it right away, to salt a bunch at a time is also.
Why?
Because they will ibud. If you salt
but why?
A bunch at a time looks like ibud itself. If you're doing one and you're eating it,
right.
It's not mazia. It doesn't look like ibud.
Right.
If you're doing it one and you're leaving it for a long period of time, it's mazia. Then it looks like ibud. If you do a bunch at a time, even though it's not mazia, it also looks like ibud. That's what the Taz puts it down. Now we go down a little further in the Taz. It says, Gam divrei ator espashim shapim mashak safi. See that? The old ones, it's like 7-8 lines. Gam divrei ator espashim shapim.
Yeah.
You have it?
Yeah.
Gam. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lines from the bottom.
Yeah.
So Gam divrei Torah mispashim shapim b'mashak asafla shittas rashi the kosav also lemloyach chatichot snoin daladehei biyachad. You're not allowed to salt a bunch together. Elemetabel kol echad ve'echad levado. You dip in each one by itself. Oichel. Bevurik mashak asafla the treit hanoim be'inon echad kol echad b'fnei atzmoi. Each one has to be done separately. Hasheni sheyochal tekif. You have to eat it right away. You can't let it sit. The lav dafka tekif mamish is a very important taz. El l'shah mu'ete she'eziyah k'tas loy harbe she'eziyah harbe. That means if you're doing it for a short period of time, it's going to be Mazia drop, that's fine. But if it's Mazia a lot, then already it's also.
So how does he come up with his first Israel when he said one by one, you're afraid that there will be Damil Ibud because it will sweat?
Yeah, if you do it for a long time.
So you're saying is as long as you don't do it for a long time.
If it's Mazia drop, he's matter it. If it's Mazia a lot, then he answers it. So that's the Taz. And that's why the Mishnah Berurah Paskins like this halachas here, that if you're doing one, it's also to do it if you're leaving it for a long period of time. If you do a bunch together, it's also to do it even if you're eating it right away. So that's this halacha here. Fine. Now let's see Siv Dalit. Yesh Miche Kasav. Before we see Siv Dalit, I want to speak something out here. Siv Aleph said, like the Taz says, you allow salt one at a time and eat it. But you can't salt a bunch together. Siv Dalit is the Shumas Hadesh, and he gives a heter. If I'm taking slime or cucumbers, whatever it is, I'm dipping it into salt and I'm putting it down, that is like one at a time, even though I'm not eating it right away. Even though I'm not eating it right away, I'm dipping one into salt, I'm putting it down, a second one into salt, I'm putting it down, a third one I'm putting it down, and then I eat all three of them. So Shumas Hadesh holds that's also mutter. Even though I'm not salting it and eating it right away, as long as you're not salting three together, you're dipping it in and putting it down, the dipping in and putting it down separates them like they're three separate things. So you can't leave it for a long time, that you can't do, but I could dip each one separately, put it down, and then eat them one after the next. That's the dal. Yes, Miche Kasav Shemuta Litpa Kamo Chaticha Itznoim Achas Achas Levada Ulanicham Yachad Lefonav Kedelechlo Laachla Miyad Zuachazu. That's what Shumas Hadesh said here. So going with the Taz is very understandable. You now that I sold one to leave it for a long time. Now I sold a bunch together because it's Daimel Ibud, but I'm not salting a bunch together. What am I doing? I'm dipping in one after the next, and then I'm putting it down.
But aren't you afraid that by the time you get to the last one, the first one is starting to Mazia?
Mazia Harbe? I guess not. I guess Mazia Harbe means more than that.
No, but isn't there a difference? One of them in Gimel we're learning a sol limloach, actually to salt it, and another one here is tvila.
Right.
But that's a different kind of thing.
But tvila,
it's actually make.
But everyone agrees you're not allowed to take 4 pieces of radish and dip them in. Tvila, even tvila 4 together is also. 2 together is also.
I mean, if you're doing tvila, that's not kibush. I mean,
yes, who says you have to salt like this? Maybe you can dip it in and chayvish it.
Yeah, but dipping in, you're not leaving it in for a long period of time. You're just dipping in and taking out.
So salting also, you're salting and you're taking away salt. The main thing is salt gets onto it. That's the main thing. Salt gets onto the slime.
Okay, now, so usually when I think to salt, you're spreading salt over, or you've got a bag,
you pour a bunch.
Everything in, so it's everything in, it's sitting in.
Or you could take a piece of meat and you could
it.
And shake on the salt afterwards.
Right.
So to litzvoil, even if you're doing a few together, the Miche is awesome. It's daimel ibud. Not just salting it, it's daimel ibud. Even dipping in, it's daimel ibud. But the question is, when I'm dipping in one, I'm dipping in a second one, and a third one, is that also called daimel ibud, or it's not? Only when I'm salting 3 or 4 together. So Shumas Hadesh says that it's mutter to dip in one, put it down, dip in a second one, and put it down, then eat them one after the next. That's what Shumas Hadesh. If you look in the Magen Avraham, Yesh Miche Kasav ve'echad me'agdolim chayra de'ein iser elo loseis harbe chatichos ulefazer l-liyu melach ulezarkoi v'lenaroi kederach shoisim v'dagim b'mlichosam the damel ibud. Says the Magen Avraham, one of the Gedolim, which is already a bigger kula than the Shumas Hadesh, he holds, like you were saying, Jonathan, that it's also to salt and then mix it together. But to dip it in, I can dip it whenever I want. I can dip it 10 together if I want.
You take 10 radishes, dip in the salt, and put in your plate, and that's kosher.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you look in the Machzor Shekel, Sivkot and Vov, the Machzor Shekel says, Yesh Miche Kasav, The Magen means to say, Kula Yaisim Mashakasafti Mashkasafoi, Shulchan Aruch. Avob Inyan Achar Shari, the Simon to Musadesel Fidaitai, according to that Shita, V'derech Tibul V'chol Inyan Shari. Dipping in is always mutter. I can dip in 5, 10, as much as you want. Ratzaloimer, that Chumas Adesel, like Hitter, Ki'im, K'moisha Kasa B'Shulchan Aruch. The Tabel Echad Echad. Aber oitze hagadol hitter afil literal harbe chatichos bepamachas to the aser ki'im lefazer aleihem melech. So that was your shita. That was your. So the Magen brings down is echem agadelim hayre the ein iser el losses harbe chatichos for the fazer aleihem melech for the zorker for the nara kadesh oisim the dogim b'mlichas from the damel ibud. That's damel ibud. Aber in achar shari. Aval b'smag mashma the ein hakol ela l'tabel like the Chumas Adeshen, only one at a time.
Is there actually a reason why he wants to keep the Gadol anonymous?
I don't know why. Don't know. I think this is a loss of Chumas Adeshen. I don't think it's the Magen Avraham even. I think the Chumas Adeshen says Echad Me'agadolim wanted to say this, and the Magen Avraham is just quoting the Chumas Adeshen, and the Chumas Adeshen he himself says no, you can't do that. You only do one after the next.
Could this be a heter for like salad dressing? Like, or is salad dressing in fact?
Salad dressing is not a problem at all when you're pouring it over it. But the problem is to make it.
Right.
That's mei melech. The pouring it over is not a problem. Once you've made a salad dressing and there's other ingredients besides salt and water,
it's oil there.
Pouring it over is not the issue. The issue is to make it to begin with.
So to make it to begin with, you start with oil and you...
then you're okay. Then you're okay. You take care of the problem. Take care of the problem.
You don't start with salt. Is that
salt and water.
Or what?
That's when you have your
problem. As long as you don't start with salt and water themselves, but according to what we learned before, that if you're making ma'at for that Suda, anyway you're okay. If you're making ma'at for oyster Suda, then you're okay anyway. So our salad dressings really aren't an issue b'chlal. Because our salad dressings are basically, unless you're making a lot of salad dressing and have leftovers also. So then you have to start off without salt and water. But if you're making a dressing just to pour on your salad, just enough for the salad for now, it's mutter anyway. Because it's ma'at, me'melech.
And what about vinegar? Because vinegar is a pickling.
Right, so vinegar is not, you're not allowed to add salt to the vinegar. First. That's the same thing as melech.
Okay.
Shemen is fine.
How come in all of this kavona doesn't seem to play a part? Meaning, when you're salting at your table, you're doing it for time, you're doing it for taste.
Right.
You're not doing it...
Still salsa. Still salsa. Diamond ibn looks like ibn. Still salsa. That's this here. But the Shabbos says that by salt water is only also if you have a mind for kosher, like we saw before. But by salting the vegetables, no one says it's totally in the das. So by Bach Kosav, the Fima Shekosav B'Siv Gimel, Atam, Shenir Kevish Kvoshim, Oz, Shekol Chaticho Moneches Levada, Ein Bezeh Mishum Kevish Kvoshim. If this is as bishul, when each one is lying separately, it doesn't look like bishul, because you don't cook one piece by itself. Our kol ha'pais m'sevim karashi ta'atam mishum she'amelach ma'avdam. The salt is ma'avedet. It looks like ibud b'hava tikron. Im kein osel am loyach yotzim in beis. Fa'afil beis yesh lahachmir v'hachinog. Alma. This is the way the minig ha'olam is. Shaloi the molcham klal. The minig ha'olam is not to salt at all, not even one. Ella matfil kol echad be'ech v'melach v'oichol. All you do is you dip it in. So he said the minig oilam is we don't even salt one radish to eat. I am a shot of gebayim shemutel litin melach ala salatin b'achakach shemen v'chaymitz. He's matter to put salt on the salad and right away afterwards to put shemen v'chaymitz because that helps to make it now look like ibud. So he holds you not to put it first. He holds you to put it afterwards. It's okay.
He's talking about melech, he's not talking about may.
He's talking about salt itself. Salt is worse. Salt by itself is much worse.
Right, because it's more concentrated.
Yeah. If you look in the Taz, Sivka and Dalit, la'oichla miyad, kosem ma'aril, hilchas yomtiv, shenoag, shlalishreis b'melech, ela metabel v'oichla miyad. That means we argue on the Mechaber here, we don't go to Trumas Hadeshen, you don't leave it in the salt at all, you dip it in, and then you eat it miyad. From all these things, we see that it's even on Yom Tov. They also speak of Hilchas Yom Tov. I have to check out the Mei Melech. I was under the impression that Mei Melech is also even on Yom Tov, but could be only Shabbos. I'll check it out.
No, but usually I know we have a minhag Saturday night. The first thing we eat is eggs and salt water.
Right.
Eggs and salt water. Yeah. So
we said that. Yeah,
it's a minhag.
Yeah.
So basically, what you're saying, if you prepare with salt water before Seder and using little for the karpas. Right.
And some for the eggs.
And then you leave it all the way to there. And the Suda is going to be after.
So if you're doing ma'at.
So that's a question.
Right. If you're doing ma'at.
So you should actually prepare the salt water immediately before.
No, so it depends.
But eggs, why are you even having a problem?
No, the salt water is the problem.
The salt water is the problem. Yeah.
So if it's ma'at,
right.
The Mishnah Berurah passes that it's okay.
It's okay. Right.
The Magen Avraham holds you shouldn't. But
well, basically, according to Magen Avraham, you should make it after you do Moti Matzah, but just actually before the Shulchan Aruch.
Correct. According to Magen Avraham, you could also do it.
Right,
you have to do it Samach L'Suda.
Right.
You have to do Samach L'Suda. There's another task we have to see, a Sifkot Gimel. So the task says, Rashi levasan tam zeh. Rashi has given this reason. El shaydei melech l'skashim v'atikun v'tam zeh u'merambam. This reason is the Rambam's. Rashi holds only as ibud, and the Rambam holds because of bishul. V'nirli lilmod mizeh din chadash. To also lishpoich b'Shabbos yayin or shamashkin or toichli sheyesh b'chometz kedei shegam zeh yeh chometz. You're not allowed to spill wine or any other mashkin into vinegar, that it should become like vinegar. Why? Because that's bishul. It's chovish kavashim. You want to be chovish the water in the chometz to make it like chometz. So if you hold the issue is bishul, then it's a problem. If you hold the issue is ibud, ma'abid, there's no ibud on a mashke. You can't be ma'abid a mashke. You can't work out a mashke. It's liquid. But if you hold the issue is bishul, so even a liquid is a problem with bishul. So they're pouring one liquid into the next at the chometz. That should become a chometz, it's also aser. Shegam zeh yechav zachat zeh havik chovish kvoshim taveschaven sheoisei ha'ma'at sheshofich sham yeh nichbash v'yischametz kanal. It should become chometz. Therefore, it's like bishul. Therefore, to pour something into vinegar is a problem. They speak about, this. The person today speak about, you take a pickle out of a jar, right? And you don't finish it. So you put it back into the jar. That's mamash kavish kosher.
We spoke about that already before, when we spoke, about kavish kombucha, that you don't put it back.
No, you could put it back.
Oh, really? We said.
Why not?
We said you can't put it back.
Why can't you put it back? It's already done.
So there's a question: is bishul achavishul?
Okay, bishul.
We said you can't put it back in bishul.
We talked about that issue.
Look, we spoke about what's somebody else was questions. Listen, as bishul, the person speaking of putting it back in afterwards. But to add the water.
We talked about using a fork to stab a pickle, a fleishik pickle, and then you put it back into the pickle jar.
Okay.
That makes the pickle.
Right. That we spoke about.
That you can't do.
In Basel Chol we spoke about. Yeah.
That's what we spoke about.
Yeah. So they say you can put it back in, even though it's kavish kvashim, because it's already nichbash. It's already done. So there's no problems. But to add water to vinegar, to add stuff like that, it could be an issue. So if you want to add water to, it's not so good that really. So again, when you want to add water,
we make salad dressing all the time.
Yes, I'm saying if you if you add water to vinegar to make salad dressing, that could be a problem. Because according to this Taz, right, now that add water into vinegar because it's kavish kosher, it's sitting and it's going to pickle.
Nobody does that.
Add water to vinegar?
How do you make salad dressing?
Water in your salad dressing?
Oil, vinegar, and whatever.
Absolutely, you can add water.
Yeah, I think I do add water sometimes. The best thing is always to put oil in first. You put oil in first, you're always okay.
You do oil, you do
it solves a little problem. To put shemen in first, then you're always okay.